our next presenter is Ralph Anania. You've seen Ralph around the room this morning. Now, we're quite fortunate to have Ralph with us. All right, Ralph plays a big game. He sold many multi-million dollar companies, built many multi-million dollar companies. So to have him speak in our room today is quite an honour. I know you're going to really enjoy this. Ralph speaks around the world to rooms, 10 times bigger than this. So we're going to get some great value. Recently been featured and done a chapter in the Millionaire Mentors book, which is a huge achievement, with 15 other amazing mentors from around Australia. So Ralph really is amazing. You are going to absolutely love the next 90 minutes. So buckle in. But before we get Ralph up here, I'd love to show you this very quick video.
Firstly, I'd like to say that I feel very privileged. I know that Ralph is one of Australia's leading business coaches.
When Ralph got up and spoke within minutes, I just went, I have to do something with this man. And now what can I say? Just love the man. Everything he has done in this course over the last 3 days has just encouraged me to keep going, do more, look at what I'm doing and do it better.
I just want to say for the first hour that I spent with Ralph, he's got a way of putting things across to you that takes away the fear to be able to do what you really want to do. I remember I was sitting on a thought for about the past 4 years, and after the first hour of talking to Ralph, he led me in the right direction in regards to how to plan, how to put things down on paper, and just really he put it in a way that was simple. Very simple and easy to follow.
And what the session's done is given me complete clarity around so many things that were all jumbled up, and just isolating the things in my business that I'm not doing well so I can improve on those and deliver a better service, not have the fears that I've had about moving forward with certain opportunities and getting on with it, and looking forward to getting back into the real world and implementing those things.
I've just completed Ralph Anania's Boost Your Business course, and it's been 3 days of absolute fun, and I've learned so much. I can't wait to go back and implement some of the things I've learned to help me improve my cash flow, to get more clients and the right type of clients, and I'm really excited about taking my business to a new level.
I said it in the past, I'm going to say it again today. If the world had more people like Ralph, I truly believe it would be a better place. Keep up with the work.
All right, so in saying that, can we all please stand up and give Ralph Anania a huge round of applause?
Thank you. Thanks, Lee. Thank you. I'm really not that important. So it's an absolute honour and a privilege to be here with you guys today, and I mean that sincerely. I've had the opportunity of speaking all over the world and in audiences, of thousands. But it's great to come back to a room like this because it's really nice and intimate, and I really enjoy it. So I hope that the next hour or so gives you a lot of clarity around positioning your business, and as you've heard, I do a 3-day program, and what I've done is I've pulled out parts of that to give you over the next hour. So I hope you really enjoy it and take as much as you can out of it. Now, just before we sort of get on, I'm going to move through things fairly quickly because of the time. So if you're struggling with writing some stuff down, maybe it's best to just take a picture of the screen with the points up there. Usually works pretty well. So just before we move on. So a little bit about myself. I've spent nearly 30 years building and running my own successful companies, where I've taken one of them to 130 million in annual revenue. In that time, there's been some great challenges along the way. It's not all roses and sunshine. So I've come close to bankruptcy 3 times in that nearly 30 years now. The first time was in 1991. I'd not long been married, and 2 of my biggest suppliers, two of my biggest customers had gone under around the same time, and I had extended a fair bit of credit to them. So it nearly sent me broke. So back to the drawing board, and you just keep pushing through. The second time was in 1999, on the 12th of October. And you may think, wow, that's a pretty specific date. And yes, it is. It was the day my middle daughter was born. So she was born at 4:30, and around 9:30 I got back to the office, only to find the National Australia Bank at my doorstep with papers to foreclose. And the reason that was is because at the time I had a general manager who had the role of a GM and a CFO who had helped himself to $580,000 and not made payments to the bank. So the bank being the bank and lending you an umbrella when the sun shines and then they want it back when it rains, we were on a pretty tight regime to pay back a line of credit in 6 months. So it was about 80,000 a month that we had to find at that time, which was pretty tight, but we pushed through. And the last time was in 2006. We'd been supplying the Franklin supermarket chain for about 7 years. We'd built a brand new facility for them 18 months earlier. And in 2006, they came to us and said, thanks very much, great job you've been doing, but we're going to go and do it on our own. So we didn't have a contract in place because we'd been supplying them for a fairly long time, and they were worth $50 million a year to me in annual revenue. And that little mistake cost me $6 million. So it's not really all roses when you're up at that level, but you just got to keep fighting through. Now for me, I'll take it later, just tell them to hold on. So for me, it wasn't about going through the pain. It was how I was going to get out of it at the other side. Now, does everyone here know the difference between going bankrupt and nearly going bankrupt? Nothing? Well, this is my version of it, guys. This is bankrupt. You wipe the slate clean, doesn't matter who you affect, and you start all over again. This is nearly bankrupt. This is nearly bankrupt. You're hanging on for dear life. So for me, I had 400 suppliers at that time. So that was 400 families that I was going to affect had I gone bankrupt. So it wasn't an option. You know, and I think failure, as we understand it, is not getting knocked down. Because failure is about not getting back up. It's when you're not willing to get back up. So for me, failure was never an option. So just to give you a little bit of a background on what the business was and part of it, just got this short video which will give you a brief on where we were at and what we did and the extent that we went to build a facility to house a business that was turning over 130 million. We had 400 truck movements through here a day, and you could have eaten off the floor at any given time. That was just our standards. We were the only facility in Australia that had a complete training and education centre for fresh produce professionals, because TAFE didn't have one, so we were endorsed by TAFE to give out certifications to become a fresh produce professional. Lithium. Yeah, but it's actually a meat distribution centre now. So this was actually in the facility. It wasn't actually a supermarket that you're looking at. This was in the building. It was a training centre. So we would bring all the product in and educate on it. You know, and I get asked the question a lot, if you were so successful in business, why aren't you running a business today? So the last business I sold was in September last year. And again, it was in the produce business. Nearly all of my business have been in fresh produce. And the reason is that I developed a passion for wanting to give back, wanting to help people. In my years, I've seen 2 farmers commit suicide, not physically seen them, but 2 farmers that I dealt with that committed suicide because of financial pressure. And I cannot tell you the amount of small businesses that have gone into bankruptcy because there was no one there to show them how not to go into bankruptcy. See, you don't do really, really well today and go bankrupt tomorrow. There's a process. And unfortunately for small business, they don't see the cracks when they start to appear, and they don't know how to fix them. So early last year, about 18 months ago now, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it was a wake-up call for me because I wanted to do this professionally and had been wanting to do it since 2006. I wanted to give back. And I continued on through. I let the GFC convince me that we were in a business that was making money, so why go and change that? So when I got the health scare, and everything's fine now, so there's no issue, but it was about me making a difference. And I knew what I'd done for the first half of my life, and it was about giving back for the second half. It was how I was prepared to go and play the second half of my life, which is why I'm here today and not running, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars of business. And let me tell you, and I don't say this by any means to impress, but I've been offered 7 figures to go and be a CEO of a company, and that's not what it's about, because I'm only helping one company by doing that. So my purpose is to get my message out. Two came together. We merged. Now, whilst it was a marriage made in hell, because the guy was an absolute pig of a person, I had no choice. So I was very conscious about the decision that I'd made. But my purpose was, from that day forward, was to look for an out. And I worked very, very hard for 20 months on a plan to sell the business. And I'd positioned myself well enough to sell the business to Metcash, which are a publicly listed company, and they paid us a lot of money for the business because they didn't know that side of the industry, and therefore they were prepared to pay us for that. So whilst it wasn't the ideal outcome, it was an outcome that I was happy to take because I didn't want 400 families to be affected because I wasn't prepared to make an effort in paying them. So again, I had a problem, but I wasn't prepared to go and sit in a corner and cry about it. I was prepared to find a solution. Does everybody get that? Are we all with us? Everyone awake? Yep. Be quiet. Making excuses rather than decisions. So we've all seen people that continually make excuses rather than focus on decisions and moving forward. And that is a big one that holds people back. Overlooking the positive points in your life. You know, I heard a pastor in a conference a few years back now, who made a very, very, very valid point about focus. And it was having people that are talking about you in a room and your focus is on them. So if you had a room full of 300 people and 3 people are talking about you and your focus is on those 3 people, 297 are missing out. Don't put your focus on the 3. Put your focus on the 300. Because there's always going to be 3 people in a room that are going to talk about you. So we have a lot more positive points in our life than we do negative. So we need to focus on the positive points. and not appreciating what you have. Not appreciating what you have. Far too often in life, we go through life and we miss or we take for granted what we actually have. And I just want to show you a short video clip and you'll understand what appreciation is.
I wasn't ready. I have no arms and no legs, but I'm very thankful that I have my little chicken drumstick here. People freak out when they see me for the first time. It's so cool. I was at a water slide all by myself. Everyone obviously at the bottom of the slide is looking up and waiting for other people to come down, and here I come and they're freaking out. They're like, you know, like this. And I was so tempted to look at myself and go, what happened? You know? There were times where I sort of looked at my life and thinking, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. And you keep on concentrating on the things that you wish you had or the things that you wish you didn't have. And you sort of forget what you do have. And there's no point, I believe, in my life where I wish I had arms, legs, I wish I had arms, legs, I wish I had arms, legs, because wishing won't help. But what I've seen in life are just a couple key principles. And the first thing that I've seen is to be thankful. It's hard to be thankful, man. I tell you, when I was 8 years old, I sort of summed up my life and thought, I'm never going to get married. I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to have a life of purpose. What kind of a husband am I going to be if I can't even hold my wife's hand? It's a lie to think that you're not good enough. It's a lie to think that you're not worth anything. It's freezing, I can't feel my hands. I love life. You know, so many people come and say, how come you smile so much? And I'm like, well, it's a long story. But it's very simple at the same time. You see, it's very hard to smile sometimes in life. There are things that happen that you don't know and you don't understand, and you don't know if you're going to get through it. You know, you go through your storms in life and you don't know how long this storm's going to be. And today I want to share with you some principles that I've learned in my life that you can use in yours. Being patient is beautiful. I tell you, it's the hardest thing. But I realize I may not have hands to hold my wife's hand, but when the time comes, I'll be able to hold her heart. I don't need hands to hold her heart. You know, it is scary to know how many girls have eating disorders. It is scary to know how many people are just angry at life because of their situation at home and angry at others. It's scary to know how many people actually feel like they're worth nothing. Every single girl right here, right now, I want you to know that you are beautiful. You are gorgeous just the way you are. And you boys, you're the man. On this DVD, I share my experiences in life of how I've overcome challenges and seen a new, fresh perspective in life. To be thankful, to dream big, and to never give up. I speak to children, youth, and adults about key issues and principles that I've applied in my life that has given me the strength to conquer all that comes before me.
I've watched this 1,000 times, and it doesn't matter how many times I watch it, it still has that same effect, because we let external influence come into our lives and it's meaningless. So sometimes we need to look at what we have that we don't actually appreciate. And Nick Vujicic actually earlier this year had a baby boy and very healthy. So everything is possible. So I just wanted
forensic
to
artist.
share this
Work for the
before I This is probably one of the most profound commercials I've ever seen, but the message in the commercial is amazing. I don't know if you've seen it, it's a Dove commercial. And the reason I put it in there is because it is the best illustration I've ever seen on how somebody views themselves compared to what others view us as.
I'm a forensic artist, worked for the San Jose Police Department from 1995 to 2011.
I showed up to a place I'd never been, and there was a guy with a drafting board.
We couldn't see them, they couldn't see us.
Tell me about your hair.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little bit, especially when I smile.
Your jaw.
My mom told me I had a big jaw.
What would be your most prominent feature?
Kind of have a fat, rounder face.
The older I've gotten, the more freckles I've gotten.
I would say I have a pretty big forehead.
Once I get a sketch, I say thank you very much, and then they leave. I don't see them.
All I had been told before the sketch was to get friendly with this other woman, Chloe.
Today I'm gonna ask you some questions about a person you met earlier, and I'm gonna ask you some general questions about their face.
She was thin, so you could see her cheekbones. And her chin, it was a nice, thin chin.
She had nice eyes. They lit up when she spoke.
Cute nose.
She had blue eyes, very nice blue eyes.
So here we are. This is the sketch that you helped me create, and that's a sketch that somebody described of you.
So yeah, that's...
She looks closed off and fatter, sadder too. The second one looks more open, friendly, and happy.
I should be more grateful of my natural beauty. It impacts the choices and the friends that we make, the jobs we apply for, how we treat our children. It impacts everything. It couldn't be more critical to your happiness.
Do you think you're more beautiful than you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
We spend a lot of time as women analyzing and trying to fix the things that aren't quite right. And we should spend more time appreciating the things that we do like.
Quite profound how we view ourselves to how other people view us. So all I can say to everyone who knocks themselves around by the way that they look or are compared to what people see them as is stop it. Okay, so 6 phrases you should never use in your business, and if you find that somebody is using it, get rid of it, stop it straight away. The first one is I don't know. The minute we say I don't know, we are doing what? We are shutting the brain down. So what I've done, and I do all the time, when somebody says to me, I don't know, I say, well, what if you did know? And then they'll say, but I don't know. And I'll go, but what if you did know? And eventually you will get the brain stimulated enough where they will start thinking. Now, unfortunately, I've been doing it so long to my children that my middle daughter, who's now 13, and she's pretty switched on, turns around and says, well, Dad, if I did know, I would have told you. So I have a problem with saying that to my kids, but this is something you want to get out of your business. I don't know, because it just switches the brain off. The next one is I can't. The minute that you have I can't attitude, it's like, well, you're not prepared to try. That's what I can't is. You're not prepared to try. That's not the way it's done. I love this one. That's not the way it's done. So what happens in this instance is that just because something was done this way for 100 years, it doesn't mean that we need to continue doing it that way, because we have moved forward. And that's what progress is. Doing it differently. That's impossible. It's impossible. So it may take an extra day or two. We can still achieve it. If we only had the money. This is probably one of the biggest ones that I get all the time. I work with private clients one-on-one, and I see so much that happens in their organisation. They've got so much to give, but they let themselves be blocked and stop moving forward because they believe if they only had the money, they could. People that believe if they only had the money, if you gave them the money, they would still not do anything about it. Because what this is telling you that you're not prepared to look for other alternatives. And lastly, the problem is. When someone comes to you with the problem is, we get back to this. Focus on the solution, not the problem. Is everybody okay with that? So you must, to address all these issues, know your purpose. One of the biggest things for me today here with you guys is to get you to understand what your purpose is and find out what drives you to achieve the success that you are looking for and you ultimately deserve. And that is how we start to position ourselves to be the leaders in our industry. Overcome fear. Everything you want lies on the other side of fear. Everything you want lies on the other side of fear. Take action every single day. If you do something every day, small things consistently done produce extraordinary results. Get rid of negative people. Sometimes they're closer to us than what we think, and by that I mean family. Sometimes you have to get rid of negative people because they suck and drain the energy out of you and will continue to tell you that you're not good enough or you're not smart enough or it's going to fail. I mean, how many times have you come up with something and someone, that's not going to work, no way, it's not going to work, and then it's like all of a sudden it happens. That was a great idea, wasn't it? You know, people like to be on the end of success. They don't want to be there when the pain is inflicted in the beginning. Be inspirational. And I'll talk a little bit more about an inspirational story as we move on. And learn to give. I think it's important that we give. And it does not necessarily have to be monetary all the time. But it's important that we give. And never, ever, ever give up.
You ain't gonna believe
this.
This
is a, I'll just stop it. This is probably one of the most inspirational speeches I've ever heard. I use clips because there's always a message that I like to take out of them. And it's probably one of the best clips I've seen when it comes to inspiration, and it's very, very true. The message out of it is what I want you to take.
You ain't gonna believe this, but you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
Never, ever, ever give up, regardless. Okay, so we're going to move on to positioning, which is what I'm here for. I think this guy's gone on a bit. Better get down to some serious business, hey? How many of you have actually seen or read or heard of the book Millionaire Mentors? 3 people. Great. It's an international bestseller and only 3 people know about it. That's great. All right. How many of you like free gifts? All right. I've got 4 books to give to the first 4 that come up. Please make sure that you come and I'll get that signed for you later. Now, hands up, those of you who didn't even move. Write this down. Position is everything. Position in your business is everything. The people who play up front will remain up front. So the people who are on the front tables were the ones that came up. Very, very important. Can we get the handouts, please? So positioning yourself at the top of your industry is about believing that you are number one. Believing that you are number one. Now, what do we mean by that? If you are in business and you believe that you are doing better than your competitors, and you can genuinely say you are number one, then start telling people about it. I had a client in Parramatta, which is Gold's Gym, 4,500 gyms around the world, franchised. I'd been going to this gym for about 4 years. They'd gone through some staff issues. He asked me if I'd come on board, and he became a client. First thing I did was work through positioning their business to be number one. He said to me, the owner said to me, there are 37 gyms in Parramatta. How can I tell people that I'm number one? I said, how can you not? He said, but how do we prove ourselves? So we'll look at what you're doing, let's refine it, and then you can go out there spruiking it. So we started getting his staff to believe that they were number one. We got posters made up, professional posters around the gym saying that they were number one. He put number one gym in Parramatta on the side of buses. So everybody started to know. And people started to believe that they were number one. The clients came in and were proud to be part of a gym that was number one gym in Parramatta with 37 other gyms. So we entered them into the Small Business Awards. And 6 months later, they won the Small Business Award for number one gym in Parramatta. Now, if I hadn't have got their mindset changed, they would never have believed it. The unfortunate side of this is when they got to that stage, They thought they were better than everybody else, and I actually sacked them as a client because I'm prepared to walk away if they're not prepared to change. Don't ever become complacent. Just because you get there, it does not mean that you will not be shot down. So everything that I had put in place didn't matter anymore because I had a trophy to prove it. So start believing you are number one. Now, you may say number one is a big goal. Everybody shops in a supermarket, I would presume, here. Correct? Woolies and Coles. Are they number one? Who is number one? Who is the number one brand in Australia for supermarkets? Woolies. Yeah, Woolies or Coles. You would say Woolies or Coles, right? Would you say Aldi is number one? I know some have said, but would you say Aldi is number one? No, but they are. Aldi are number one in their niche. They are the number one discount grocer in Australia. They don't want to be number one grocer, but they do want to be number one in their niche. In their space, they are number one. No one will beat them. The difference is that Woolies and Coles carry nearly 40,000 lines, they carry 2,000 lines. So that's what I'm talking about, positioning. Find your niche and be very, very good at it. Be number one. Know your market intimately. So understand where you need to be. So for example, if you were a mechanic and you're a very good mechanic and you service all vehicles and you go and promote yourself as a really good mechanic that services every vehicles, if I own a Ferrari, I'm not going to find you because you're a really good mechanic that serves all vehicles, but you're not a specialist. You're not number one. But if you promote yourself as being a number one specialist in Ferrari, you'll be found. Doesn't matter that you still service other cars, but find your niche, which is what I just spoke about, so we've gone a bit ahead of time. So find your niche. Study your competition. Know who your competitors are. Best way to study your competition, does everyone know? Become a client of theirs. That's the best way to study your competition. These brands, does anyone know what these brands have in common that makes them as successful as they are and have been for many, many years worldwide? Mission, yep. Vision, yep. Anyone else? One thing that has made them the leaders in their industry. Continual improvement. Brand awareness, yep, big one.
Brand value.
Yep.
They know their market backwards.
Yep. All that is correct. But the number one is building a great support team. None of them would be where they are today if they didn't have the team of people to help them build that brand and build the company to where it should be. The foundation of building a great team is attitude. And attitude comes from the top. Your staff will either dive or thrive off of you. You set the example. The next is behaviour. How you behave is what they believe they can get away with or not. If you come in late and you continually do that, they will think they can. Team building exercises are a great thing, but you must be able to utilise the team building exercises properly. So everyone is playing and there is benefit out of it. It's not just a matter of putting it on for the sake of putting it on. There's got to be a purpose behind why you would do it. Rewards and incentives for your staff, not monetary. Monetary rewards do not count at all unless they're in a sales role, which I still disagree with, but that's the only time that money should come in as an incentive. But I haven't got enough time to go into why I don't believe that it should be, but monetary shouldn't come into it. Training. How much training do businesses really do on their staff? Or do they just send them on a course and then do nothing with it when they get back? I had 357 staff at one stage, and I would continually send them to courses that I had been on because I knew what I expected of them when they come back. And when they came back from the course, I would sit and discuss with them. Not grill them about the course, discuss. What did you like about it? What did you get? Where can we use this? Where can we use that? It was a really good conversation that got them thinking. I have seen so many companies that send people on courses and they do not follow through, and it's wasted. They send them on a course for the sake of sending them on a course. And what happens then, when the owner doesn't care, that person has just got another skill. So when they build enough skills, they move on, don't they? And that's another way of losing good staff. Recognition. Recognition is imperative. You know, I had a janitor once who was the best janitor that we'd ever had. And I used to work, so I used to get up early because it being in the markets, I'd be on the tools, so to speak, at 2 a.m. And sometimes I wouldn't leave the office till 4 or 5. But our janitor would start at 6 p.m. and finish, next morning around 3, because we used to run 2 shifts. So one night, and this janitor was a lovely guy. Was an elderly Italian guy. He had a few issues, suffered from depression, was on medication, was divorced, had a whole heap of issues. But we loved the guy, and he was attention to detail. There was no one better than him. So when he had time off because he really needed to. It was his medication playing up. So we would just accept and put up with it. And if he was gone any longer than 2 days, the place you could start to tell that Rodney wasn't around. So one night I thought he came to work earlier, I was there a bit later, and Rodney's come in, he's got his backpack on, his headset in with his music, and he's vacuuming away, and he sort of comes to my desk, and it's like, this shock because I'm there, and he said, "Oh, Ralph, you're here." And I said, "Rodney, are you okay?" I said, "You haven't been in for a couple of days, are you okay now?" And he said, "Oh yeah, medication's playing up." I said, "We really missed you." And he said, "Oh, really?" He said, "I'm only a cleaner." I said, "Rodney, you're not a cleaner. You're a very important part of this company." And he looked at me really strangely and he said, "Really?" I said, "Absolutely." I said, "You're a very important part of this company." And he did that a couple of times. And I said, "Rodney, what's the best car in the world?" This guy loved Ferraris, and at the time I had a Ferrari. And he said, "Oh, Ralph, you're Ferrari, so I love Ferraris." I said, "Rodney, how good do you think my Ferrari would run on 3 wheels?" And he looked at me strange and he said, "Well, you wouldn't be able to drive it." I said, "You're the 4th wheel to this company." I said, "You are the 4th wheel. Without you, this company doesn't operate." And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, look at the place." I said, "When I know you're on, I can bring anybody through the facility and I know that Rodney's been here and I've got no issue." From that day forward, he didn't have to improve his skills because he was phenomenal anyway, but he felt part of a team and he lifted everybody else. That was the difference. And I've always been an inspirational leader, always, regardless. So it's very, very important. Just, sometimes a thank you and just to recognise is very, very important. One thing that I do with my clients when I work privately with them is I go through a SWOT analysis. Now, everybody obviously has heard or knows about SWOT, correct? And I'll rush through this, but the way I do SWOT analysis is, and this is a great way to absolutely flip your business upside down. So we go through our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What I do is I hold together a workshop like this for staff, and I'll put on a presentation, and I'm usually running it. It's very, very dangerous for the owner to do this. I must tell you, it is very dangerous because you will not get the same result. What happens as an owner, you start hearing some things that you don't like, you start getting emotional, and then it becomes just a fight. Everybody wants to have an argument in the room. By putting this on, what I do is I bring that slide up with all the major brands, and I start off by saying, now, what is the most important factor behind these brands? And very rarely, just like you guys did, they will not say team or staff. And I go, no, you are the most important people. And I'll make them feel welcome all of a sudden, because normally they'll come in and I'll go, here we go, he's another friggin' guru, right, who's just about to give us a 2-hour presentation, we're going to learn nothing. All of a sudden, that is gone. And they go, oh, okay, this guy thinks that, we're important. Then I go, okay, now I want from your perspective, what are the strengths of this company? And you start listing the strengths. What are the weaknesses? This is from their point of view, right? This is a staff's point of view. And you start listing the weaknesses and then opportunities and threats. The idea is there are usually, very rarely are there any threats. There are some opportunities, but more than likely there'll be weaknesses. But the weaknesses have come from them. They understand the weaknesses. So when you talk to them about converting the weaknesses into strengths, who's owning it? They've already told you what the weaknesses are. Now we're going to work on turning those weaknesses into strengths. How are we going to do that, guys? They know what they are. So it works very, very well. And if it's done properly, I've seen every one of my clients has had a success story with this. Because what I then do is I take that to management and we do exactly the same process with clients. So we bring in a group of clients, usually 6 or 7 or 8, and we ask them the same questions. We go through the same process. Why are these brands so successful? Because of the clients that are behind them, right? Without the clients, we don't have a successful brand. So therefore, they feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, we want to know what you believe our strengths are, what you believe our weaknesses are, from a client's point of view, right? Then you get the client's perspective and the staff's perspective, and you put them together. And if the staff are telling you that they run a great, clean facility that's superb, and the clients are telling you that the place is always dirty, you've got a problem. We need to fix that. And that's how we move forward. So that's how I like to run the SWOT analysis, and it works really, really well if it's run that way. I always have the owner of the business in the room, and they are not allowed to talk. They are not allowed to talk. If they talk, they are asked to leave, because it must be an open forum. The staff have to be willing to be able to say whatever they feel like saying. So that's how I run that. It's very, very important for a business to handle it that way. Again, what happens is people come in, they do a SWOT analysis, they give the results to the owner does nothing about it. I've had that many times in business. When I present this to owners, I go, oh no, we've had that done. Really? Not my way, you haven't. So it's 100% success rate. Marketing, very, very important. Very, very important. How to create wow factor marketing. Now, this is where you may want to take photos of the slide, because I'll run through this fairly quickly, okay? So do your research. Who are your customers? Know who your customers are. Why are they your target customer? Where are they demographically? That plays a lot to do with marketing. Demographically. Become the expert. People gravitate to trusted experts. So if I own a Ferrari, I want to go to a Ferrari mechanic. It doesn't matter that he services BMW and everything else, but he's positioned himself as the Ferrari expert. And as an expert, you'll be found. And you start providing solutions. Everyone got that? Create a wow factor. Takes their eyes off the price. A wow factor takes the eyes off the price. You know, the statistics tell us that it's between 13 and 17% of consumer that actually look at price. 13 to 17%. 83 to 87 don't. So create a wow factor in the marketing to take their focus off the price. What makes you different? What makes you different in your business, in your industry? Elevate the value add. So whatever your value is, elevate that. Let the clients know. Otherwise you become the world's best kept secret. Get emotional. Now, please understand this. This is the only time in business that you get emotional. Because in business, when emotion goes up, intellect goes down. Off goes the head and on goes the pumpkin. That's pretty much how I say it, because emotion stimulates the brain 3,000 times quicker than rational thinking. So in business, we don't want emotion coming into it. In marketing, we do, because we're tapping into emotion. Identify your client's problem and then exaggerate the problem and then offer the solution. So if you've got a headache, you're not going to go and put a photo of a Panadol box and advertise that as a price. Elevate someone in severe pain like this, ask them if they're happy with being through that pain, and then say, well, we just have the solution for you. So whatever the pain of your client is, elevate it. Touch them emotionally and then deliver the solution. Be outrageously different online. What is your website headline? Does your website capture data? Does it tell a persuasive story? 97% search online before they make a purchase. You have 4 seconds to get them interested. So therefore, everything above the fold is where it counts. Doesn't matter how long the page is, but you need to capture them in that 4 seconds. So everything they need to know needs to be at the top. Very important. Sorry I'm rushing this, guys. This is what I normally teach in 3 days, part of, but just want you to get the message. You'll get a lot out of it anyway. Put on events. If you're a company, you can put on an event like this, and you can bring in your customers, have a speaker that understands the business, get them to identify what it is that you're doing, and make them aware of all the benefits. Very, very important. Showcase what you do, create a theme for the event, and think creative. Always think creative. Okay? This is something that is along the lines of thinking creative. This was only a week or so ago, or April 30th, a couple of weeks ago. Please visit Barbados Island, we'll pay you. Great headline, right? Basically, it's, there's a new incentive. They'll give $150 per person on stays of 7 nights or more, right? When they give the $150 back, where are you going to spend the money? Exactly. Right? This is what I'm talking about, thinking creative. Right? And this was just a good example that I picked up. Video testimonials. Now, I know it's been said a few times this morning. Very, very, very important. 80% will watch the video, 75% will stay on the website longer, and 52% will take action. Get free publicity. How do we get free publicity? Become a storyteller. Be provocative. If somebody's done something that you truly believe in and that can get you a story, be provocative. The amount of people that I've called morons because they've done the wrong thing and got so much publicity has been amazing. I had an issue with Telstra. I sold my company in September. I had 5 mobile phones. I wanted shifted from that company to another company, and they're basically my own private mobile phones. 6 months, and they just couldn't do it. It just got worse and worse. And every time we sent through a changeover form, there would be somebody else coming back saying that they didn't get it. So we'd emailed it about 5 times. We'd faxed it about 3 times. We'd actually delivered it to a Telstra shop twice, right? And then when we wanted to speak, after being on the phone for 2 hours, we wanted to speak to a superior, whoever was in charge, we had to email the complaint to the complaints department. So me being me, and being in this game and talking in front of people all over the place, I wrote a full-page article, which I use now in my customer service, and I called Telstra morons. I said basically that the people that are upstairs need to have a look at how their business is being run. And I wrote a full page, and it was on, because I have somebody that manages my social media. So, so I have somebody that manages my social media, and we plastered it on every social media site one Friday afternoon, and we just went berserk, right? And I don't care, because at the end of the day, the message was genuine. You know, I wasn't just calling them a moron for the sake of calling them a moron.
This is all planned, yeah?
Do you want to replace that? Or So you know, and I've done that. But that's how you get free publicity, because then what happened was that Koshi had picked up on it, and they it was just a whole heap of people. Like there was, I don't know if everybody heard of that shop in Queensland that charged $5 to people to come in and look at their stuff, right? Again, I called them morons too, because seriously, if you're in business, it's your job to start selling the minute the people come in the door, right? Don't let them browse for 2 hours and then let them go. If you can't serve people and capture the sale, you're a moron. So why charge people $5 to come in your shop? So I did that. So, I mean, that's what free publicity is. And repetitive trade. I think we all seem to miss sometimes repetitive trade when it comes to marketing. We tend to look at marketing as a one-off, when we promote something, but it doesn't give us a repetitive trade. When you think of marketing, think of something that's going to continually keep them coming back. Does it make sense? So that's basically, the wow factor marketing. Customer excellence. Now, this is one of my absolute favourite topics because everything that I've done in all my years in business has been focused on the customer, right? And if we look at customers in the sense as a customer, what would one think when you look at a customer, the word customer? What would you think? Just sing out. But what is a customer to you? When you look at a customer to your business, sale. Yeah, customer is a sale. So there's dollars attached to it, right? If you look at that customer as a guest, how do you treat your guest at home? Sorry? Yeah. So when they are treated as a guest, does price come into it? The eyes are off the price completely. You treat your customers, your clients like guests, their eyes are off the price. Right? So that's why I talk about customer excellence, because it's very, very important in your business. Listen to your customers. Again, this is where you might want to just take a photo of the screen when we get out. Sorry? You'll get the whole lot at the end. The last slide will have all of them. Listen to your customers. Listen to their needs. We can listen to customers sometimes, but we're not really listening to their needs. We're just listening to them talk, but we're not hearing what they're saying. What are they wanting? Does that make sense? Don't make promises you can't keep. If you're going to promise something, make sure that you can deliver. Otherwise, you'll end up like this.
Barbara welcomes another customer into her bank world.
What? You said I should open this everyday account because it had no monthly account fees.
No need to thank me.
I'm not. Look at all these.
Ah, yeah. You see, when I said no monthly account fees, it was no with a silent K, as in you may not know about the fees until the fees are charged. Your mistake.
If I had realised about these fees, I never would have opened it to begin with.
OK, to avoid any further confusion on your part, let me make myself 100% clear. We prefer that no customers may know what we know about what fees they're being charged until we know that it's too late for them to say no.
I didn't understand a word you just said.
Go away.
So if you're gonna make a promise, make sure you can keep it. Okay, can we hear everybody hear me? Good. Okay, sorry, I've got to rush through this now. Be helpful. Make sure that you offer the service that you say you're going to offer, and go out of your way. Deal with complaints. If someone's complaining, they're saying, "Help me." A customer that complains is your friend. The one that doesn't complain and doesn't come back is the one that we got to worry about. And certainly not like this.
Now, I'm busy and you're late, so let's not waste any more time, eh?
But I've been waiting out there for the last half hour.
Whatever. Listen, champ, you're a very valuable customer to
Well,
us.
the reason I can do
So I'm going to sign you up for something you haven't even asked for.
You can't do that.
Already in the system.
Well, I want to make a complaint.
Not my department. How about I transfer you to an automated service that'll promise to get back to you?
Then I want to speak to the manager.
That'd be me. But I'm in a meeting.
Barbara lives in bank world.
Go away.
So don't handle complaints like that, or like Telstra. Train your staff, very, very important. You know, we've spoke about training. Staff is very important to understand that they're on the same page as you. Too many times in small business, we see business owners that have this vision and then their staff aren't aligned with that and they wonder why their business is not flourishing. Take that extra step. Take that extra step, whatever it is. Throw in something extra, but make sure it's meaningful. If it's not going to be meaningful, then don't throw it in, because all it'll be is an embarrassment.
Well, I've got a problem with your credit card rewards program.
You mean carrot? Can't achieve rewards regardless of time? What about it?
Well, I've been spending for years and I've got nothing to show for it.
You'd spend a bit more, sweetheart. You might get a kettle.
I have a kettle at home.
What do you want another one for? Oh, make up your mind.
You're confusing me.
You're confusing me with someone who cares.
So, do I have enough points to get anything?
Let's have a bit of... No.
Barbara lives in Bankwell.
Shame.
So if you're going to throw something in, you can tell that I love banks. Yeah, she does. Always tell the truth. Always tell the truth. If you're going to promise something and it's not going to happen, call the client, tell them. If you have a problem with a client and you acknowledge, or they acknowledge that you've made the effort to call them and explain, you will find that the result will be far greater than you would ever imagine. And make them feel important, no matter what and how far you have to go to achieve that.
Hi.
Hi.
I was marooned on an island for 5 years with this package. And I swore that I would deliver it to you because I work for FedEx.
That's very admirable. Thank you.
Hey, but by the way, what's in the package?
Nothing really. Just a satellite phone, GPS locator, fishing rod, water purifier, and some seeds. Just silly stuff. Thank you again. You
So
keep
make
up the
them
good
feel
work.
important no matter what. Get a good coach. You know, a lot of businesses don't believe they need a coach, but it is important. You can't watch yourself swing. Why have we got the best athletes in the world with coaches permanently? And one of the best examples was the CEO of Google.
Over the years, I've received so many different kinds of advice, I don't know where to start. One that comes to mind is to have a coach. Our board member in 2002, John Doerr, said, "You need a coach." And I said, "Well, I don't need a coach. I'm an established CEO. Why would I need a coach? Is something wrong?" He said, No, you need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. So Bill Campbell became my coach and has served Google very well. Every famous athlete, every famous performer has somebody who's a coach. Somebody who can watch what they're doing and say, is that what you really meant? Did you really do that? They can give them perspective. The one thing people are never good at is seeing themselves as others see them. A coach really, really helps.
And lastly, and then start spreading the news. Obviously, you don't want to become the world's best kept secret. So you want to be able to tell the market about it, and how you're going to do that. So what form of media are you going to use to do that? And then lastly is leadership. Leadership starts with you. If you're a leader in your business, you will be followed. I just want you to just watch this next clip. Very powerful. one of the most important aspects of being a leader in your business and in your field, in your niche, and positioning yourself is your value. What you value is what will drive you to creating success. And with that said now, I just want to go through a process, and it'll be great. So if you can just put your pens down, pens and papers down. I just want you to sit back. I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to close your eyes. Promise I won't hurt. I want you to think about what it is that actually drives you and what your value statement is. I want you to think about what your purpose, your vision, and the message that you want to take out to the world is. I want you to dig deep into your heart and find what truly moves you. What it is that drives you to get out of bed every morning. What motivates you to face the day. What makes your heart overflow with joy. Why do you do what you do? Who do you love to see happy in this world? Who inspires you? Business is about being passionate. Being passionate about what you do. And being able to share that passion with others is fulfillment. Today is a turning point in your life. You came here to change the future, and it wasn't your future. It was the future of someone that you haven't even reached yet. So what is stopping you from making that happen? Who do you need to become to make the changes you need to make in your life to have the success that you truly deserve? What do you need to get rid of? What action do you need to take for that to happen? Think of what your life is going to look like once you've been able to achieve that. Generations of your family. Think of the lives you're going to change. This is about helping people have a better experience of life. So isn't it time that you connected your why with your business? Just imagine the joy on people's faces that you've helped with your knowledge and advice, saving them from making the same mistakes that you've made. Whether you're a mother, or a father, a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner. Now is your time. It's your time to shine and make a real difference in the world. If you can serve this world and reach all corners of the planet, help people who help you, who are suffering, need your help, who would it be? Steve Jobs said it was never once about the product for him. It was always about the why. At the end of the day, business is about passion and connecting your passion. It's not about money. It's not about fame or anything else. It's about what drives you to wake up every day and the impact that you are going to make on the planet. Why you're really here. Take a moment now and really connect to that. Reach deep into your heart, right past any fears or concerns. Let that all melt away. Because remember, none of that is real anyway. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, all we really have is each other on this planet. Our dreams, our visions, our actions. It's your time now to reach the people you want to reach, leave the legacy you want to leave, and create the life that you want to create. Who is it for? And why do you do it? Is it for your family? Why do you go to work? Why do you run the business you run? Why do you do the work that you do? Who is it that you really want to inspire? Your time on earth is limited. Don't live somebody else's life. Live by your dreams, your vision, and your passion. Let go of the fears and go and create the future that the world awaits from you. The way you want it to be. And now in your own time, when you're ready, I want you to come back to the room. And open your eyes. And I want you to just take a deep breath. I want you to spend a couple of minutes now and just write why you do what you do. What is your why? Just a minute or two to connect to that. What drives you to get out of bed in the morning? motivates you? Why do you do what you do? Who is it really for anyway? Who do you want to inspire? What legacy do you want to leave behind? I want you to really connect to that. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Is it okay now if I share with everybody here why I really do what I do? Would that be okay? Thank you.
There's a hero if you look inside your heart. You don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. It's a long road, and you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you search
was putting it together, the last bit, my 11-year-old son goes, "Dad, it doesn't matter what car you drive." That's why I do what I do. It's my family that drives me. And they're usually with me everywhere I go, or as much as I can bring them with me. I absolutely love being part of my events, and I certainly love having them as part of my life, of course. I said at the beginning that it was an absolute pleasure, and I mean that sincerely, to be able to present to you guys here today. And you know what Steve's doing here in Wollongong is great. It's phenomenal, because you want to get small businesses to continue growth. I believe the backbone of any country is small business. It's small businesses that move countries forward. They employ the most people, and unfortunately our governments don't do enough, and the multinationals take over. And most of the time is because we get so busy in our businesses that we don't go to events like this. And if you can just take something out of it that you can implement into your business and watch your business grow from that, then we've done our job. And that's what this weekend's about. I don't have anything to sell you. I'm not here to sell you anything, but 2020 Business Experts is a company that I've just formed, and I'm about to go on an Australian tour, which starts on the 18th of June. Go and look at the website of where we'll be, and if you want to know more and you want to come to one of the events, then we'd love to have you at them. It's been an absolute pleasure. Out of all the audiences all over the world that I've spoken in front of, you guys have been one of them. Thank you very much.
Well, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much, Ralph. Heck was that? Well done. Thank you very much, mate. Wow. What about sitting there for 10 minutes and just thinking? I sat over there just by myself and closed my eyes, and it was pretty deep, and I guess it sort of brought up a lot of emotion. So I did the same with you guys when you stop and think about those sorts of things. Yeah, awesome. So Ralph, if you want to ask Ralph any questions about his presentation, obviously he had some amazing businesses. And is there anything you want to ask about positioning to Ralph while we've got him here with us?
Great, thanks very much.
You've been wonderful. Thanks very much. Good night.
You know, when I did my very first presentation, as I said, this is second to me. Entrepreneurship is first, and being in business for 30 years. So I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I like to put a good presentation together. And I'd done something similar, and I was on a stage in Sydney, and the event was held by Jeff and Kane, who are international gurus and from the US. And I got up and did my presentation. Everything was great. And I got off the stage, went down the back of the room, and this gentleman come up to me, and he was, wearing a suit, which doesn't usually happen, grey-haired, and he said, "I just want to congratulate you." He said, "Great presentation." He said, "We're in the similar business." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Are you a speaker as well?" He said, "No, I'm an anaesthetist." I put everybody to sleep. True story.
Oh. Yep, I'll give you the microphone.
I was just wanted to simply ask John Dwyer.
Yes.
Firstly, how long have you known him, and how did he get what Seinfeld? Apparently, he got Seinfeld to come from overseas.
Yep.
To do the Greater Union. What's it called? The
Greater Building Society.
Greater Building Society.
Yep.
So
I've known John for a few years. John's a good mate of mine. He got Seinfeld by never, ever, ever giving up. That's how he got Seinfeld. Seinfeld had, at that stage, he had only ever done one commercial, and that was right at the beginning of his career. So in his professional career, he'd never done another commercial. And he persevered and persevered and persevered until he got a yes. And the beautiful part about it was that they got him relatively cheap. They got him for $1 million a year. And in 3 years that he had contracted him for, they'd added $500 million to the value of the Greater Building Society.
So John did a pact with Greater Union, is that right?
No, Greater Building Society. He was their marketing.
Oh, he was marketing, right.
Agent. Yeah, he actually they were one of his clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just really quickly, the second question. Just where did you get to know or find the video for Nick and Julik?
YouTube. Yeah.
You found out.
Wojciech it is.
Wojciech,
Nick
sorry.
Wojciech.
Yeah.
Just on YouTube. Yeah.
So that's the way you found out about him.
Oh no! I've seen him. I'd seen him.
That's what I meant.
Speak. Yeah. No, I'd
Okay,
seen him
fine.
at an event.
Thank you.
At a school event.
I thought that was quite moving, and the message from that was quite remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Great guy.
excellent.
Great
yeah.
guy. Anybody else? Someone else had their hand up.
Can you recommend any books that you've read over the years that have got you to where you are now?
Look, I'm not really a reader. I've read a lot of books. I don't retain as well as I should. And I don't know if you noticed, one of the guys that I had a picture with, his name, and he's a good friend now, his name's Nishant Kasibatla, and he lives in Singapore, and he's actually a memory guy. So he holds the world's Guinness Book of Records for remembering 40 single-digit numbers in under 2 seconds. And he can actually, if he was here, you'd write them, and he'd look at it, turn away, and read them to you. And if you weren't impressed with that, he'd read them backwards to you. Like, he's just amazing. And it's quite funny because he's told me many times to go over and do one of his courses. But I can read a book cover to cover and I'll remember 2 sentences of it. Like, I've actually got a highlighter next to me, but I've written some great books over the years, good to great. A lot of the Donald Trump books I read in the early days, well before he became, who he is today, when there was a bit of meaning to him, because I think today he's just a, arrogant TV personality. With no substance. One of the good things about travelling the world is you get to see both sides. You get to see what good is in people and what is not. Richard Branson gets paid $450,000 to do a keynote, and he doesn't speak. He only gets interviewed. His biggest fear is public speaking, believe it or not. But he gets paid $450,000, and all that money goes to Virgin Unite, which is his foundation. He doesn't keep 1 cent of it, and does it willingly. Donald Trump gets paid $1 million and it all goes into his pocket. And that's the difference, when you really see people and what their worth is. But the message in some of his books are really, really good. I mean, very, very smart businessman, of course. Michael Gerber, read a lot of his books. Stephen Covey, I've read a lot of his books. Stu Leonard, he wrote a book. Was one of my mentors. The other one of my mentors was Walt Disney. Phenomenal. As I started in business, I just looked at his customer excellence that he had incorporated in his business, and that was just something that I built on. And even though the guy, died 2 years after I was born, the legacy he's left behind, and I'd only ever gone to Disneyland early this year, so I'd never been there before, but phenomenal. So sometimes it's I've had a number of mentors over the years, and it's just being able to take what is applicable to you in your business.
Great. Answer your question? Fantastic. All right. Any other questions out there?
Yeah, what do you think of Josh Dugan joining the Dragons?
Very, very poignant question. Josh Dugan joining the Dragons, scoring 2 tries on debut.
Spark, didn't they? So I guess they got it. I know Wayne Bennett pretty well, and when he came to the Dragons, he would have stayed if they had not bought Gaznia back, because one of the things that he stipulated in his contract, and I do know him very well, he said he didn't want any interference from the board, and if the board was going to interfere, that would cause a decision. When they knew they were going to be in the grand final, it was actually Johnny Raper and one of the other older guys that wanted Gaznia back because of the name, and Bennett did not want him back because of the disruption of the team. Hence why he did not stay. Otherwise, we would have still had Bennett there now. So unfortunately, that's how it goes, and he's no better at Newcastle because of Tinkler's issues that he has. But I think Dugan will put a bit of spark back in him, and hopefully we can.
Maybe we can use that model for leadership, perhaps. and different leadership models we have.
But I just wanted to say, Steve, sorry, one more second. I'll be around all afternoon. Tomorrow I'll be here, all day. So please feel free to come up and have a chat. And if you want the book signed, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, there's not many guys we get access to that have done what Ralph has done. So yeah, Bendy's here. Awesome. Please put your hands together for Ralph and Anania, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we are about 3:10 now. We're going to have a quick break for afternoon tea. Then we're going to come back in here at about, let's say about 20 to 4. And we're going to finish off with an hour and 20 session. We're going to do a quick couple of interviews, and then myself and Andy are going to do about 60 minutes on outsourcing to the Philippines. All right? If you don't know about it, it's awesome. So it's going to be very, very valuable 60 minutes. So please go and freshen up and get ready for a big last session. Thank you.